It is I or B. Would you call the roll, please?
Danielle McKenzie. Jason Blair.
Here.
Melissa Hunt.
Here.
Louis Williams.
Here.
Adam Webb. Mark Ham. Here. Glenn Lewis.
Here. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2 is the consent docket. It's a long agenda, so bear with me. Item A is approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting held November 15th, 2021. Item B is receive the minutes of the regular planning commission meeting held October 12th, 2021. Item C, ratify action of the Moore Public Works Authority made November 15th, 2021 regarding the approval of resolution number 25621, adopting the roll-off compactor rates for commercial utility customers, along with clarifying language. Item D is approve the issuance of a $75 Christmas stipend to the employees per council resolution. Item E is accept the the public water, sewer paving and drainage improvements to serve the Broadmoor Heights Section 1 addition, being south of Southwest 19th Street and west of Bryan Avenue, application by Premium Land Development. Item F is accept a 438 square foot public right-of-way and utility easement from the Dickey Smith Trust located at the west end of Southeast 15th Street, cul-de-sac west of Tower Drive, providing for school bus and delivery access for more public schools as a part of the Southeast 4th Street Railroad Underpass project. And item G is approve and ratify claims and expenditures for FY 2021-2022 in the amount of $4,975,304.14.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. I just wanted you guys to know that on item D, I bumped up that from $50 Christmas deal to $75, and I asked the manager to put that on because we've had a really tough year in the pandemic, but we have come through it very well, and I think it was a good way for this council to say thank you to our employees. We appreciate it. This was based, when I first got here, it was $25, and it was based on what a meal for, I think, 5 or 6 people would cost at Buchanan's or Homeland or Jerry's Foods. And as you guys know, you can't buy a meal for that anymore. So anyway, I appreciate you guys voting for that. So do we have a motion?
We have
We
motion.
have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Ham.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Item carries. Item number 3 is consider adoption of a resolution number 10-21 pertaining to the general obligation bonds of 2022 approved by a majority of the qualified voters at election held on November the 9th, 2021, fixing the amount of bonds to mature each year, fixing the time and place the bonds are to be sold, and authorizing the clerk to give notice of the said sale as required by law.
Mayor and Council, this will be the first installment of the bonds for the new animal shelter and the residential street projects that were approved last month in the GEO bond initiative. The initial amount is $5.4 million. This will allow us to begin work on the projects, and then we will come back in July for another round of funding. Chris Gander and Terry Hawkins are here if you have any questions. Recommend approval.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second the
All right.
motion.
Appreciate it. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? If not, would you call for the vote?
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 4 is consider authorizing staff to solicit bids for janitorial services for the station, recreation, and aquatic center.
Mayor and council, we would just like to request your authorization to solicit bids for our janitorial services due to unsatisfactory services from the previous company.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Okay, item number 5 is consider approval of a professional services contract with Civil and Environmental Consultants, Inc. For an on-call engineering services.
Mayor and council, we use the on-call contracts for our subdivision plan review and other small projects such as some street or drainage projects. We have a on-call contract currently with Mishek and Associates for drainage and ADG that is meant for subdivision review and these other smaller public works projects. The engineer that we were working with ADG has recently been hired by CEC, and this engineer has a knowledge of our new drainage regulations as well as our city specifications and details and other practices and procedures that we have in regards to subdivision review. Staff recommends continuing this relationship, which would require us to have a contract with CEC for the on-call engineering. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Would we keep the contracts with the other two engineering companies?
Yes, I would recommend that. Mishek is currently doing all of the review for drainage projects as they come in. And it is always good to have a third engineer because we do get busy at times and things tend to get backed up.
Motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
Thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? If not, would you call for the vote?
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 6 is discuss potential updates to the existing land regulations found in Part 12, Chapter 4, Article G of the Moore Land Development Code.
Mayor and council, thank you. As per your request, I have had the opportunity to review the landscaping regulations and compared them with several cities. I'm not exactly sure how to get the PowerPoint started from this screen, but if somebody, thank you, could help. Thank you. So our current landscaping regulations were adopted in 2000, so they've been on the books for over 20 years. We reviewed the landscaping code with several, with metro communities as well as going outside of Oklahoma to look at some of the communities in the region. So these are the communities that we reviewed and compared to our own. This table has basically the comparison when we took different projects that were recently approved and completed with the city. So the Costco project and the Spay Experts project were planned unit development. So they had higher landscaping counts than what is normally required under code. The other two projects were Orchard Plaza, which is a retail center on 4th Street, which is very typical of what we get. And then also the Integris Hospital, which is a large commercial, but not a PUD. You can see here by the comparisons that different communities have vastly different requirements. The Oklahoma City has their requirements set up as through a points system, and it's a little bit complicated and it's very difficult to compare apples to apples. But whenever we did the calculations, you can see how they stack up, and I'll just take an example for a non-PUD, which is the Orchard Plaza, since that is so typical of what we get. Our current code, we require 22 trees and 14 shrubs. If you take that across the chart, you will see that the only other communities that get more trees than what we get is Midwest City by 2, and then Frisco, Texas, and then Overland Park, Kansas has a landscape architect on staff, so they didn't really have any regulations. It just said that all landscaping must be approved by the landscape architect. Edmond also uses what they call plant units, and they have those plant units defined in their city code. So it might be something like 1 tree plus 3 medium-sized shrubs equals 1 unit. So that was also difficult to compare apples to apples. Moving on, we did review other components of their landscaping regulations, such as the percentage of open space, irrigation, if they require a landscape architect to actually develop the plans, and so on. The couple of things stood out to me as we did this comparison. So our base ordinance does require more tree and shrub counts than almost all the comparison cities, except for Edmond, because of their plant units scheme, and also Frisco, Texas in some instances. But I do believe there is room for improvement if that's what the council would like to see. But currently, we don't require a tree or shrub mix of species. You could have all 1 species of tree, and that has actually happened just recently with a new strip center. They put in all loblolly pines. We believe that setting a minimum tree-shrub mix percentage would diversify the species. It would also help to protect their investments when it comes to potential diseases that come through that might target 1 species. If that happens to be the species that they've really heavily invested in, they're going to lose all of their landscaping.
And if they lose all of their landscaping, once the project's done, do we have any enforcement where we go out and say you have to replant?
We have the ability to do that, and that's one of the things that I was going to mention.
Sorry.
You're fine. Another area that we can see some improvement on would be increasing our open space requirement to at least 10% of the land area. We currently have the least amount that's required at 5%. And we could also have more requirements in the distribution of that, requiring more of it in the front yard than the backyard. We could also consider side yard open space requirements. These break up the parking lot and also provide more area for planting of tree materials. We could provide incentives for irrigation. It's no secret that landscape with irrigation does fare better. And that is part of the Oklahoma City point system. You get more points if you provide irrigation. And this goes to your point, Councilwoman. We do have a code requirement for the maintenance of the landscaping. So it simply says that you must keep your trees and shrubs alive. We've done inspections in the past, and it is difficult with some of our larger retailers to get them to replace their dead species. What I recommend would be to create an annual compliance inspection where we would have one or a group of people who are dedicated to doing that once a year. And instead of just requiring across the board, you must replace what's dead, I would give a survival rate percentage. I think that it's to be expected that some landscaping materials will die over time. I think that if we could, target an 80 to 90% survival rate, and that was what we inspected for, we might get more compliance from the businesses. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and I'm awaiting your direction, if any.
So if we think this is a good direction, we just say, go do it. That's what you're
I would
waiting on?
then prepare an ordinance for you to consider in the future, yes.
Is that what you
I
want to do?
would definitely be in favor of that.
Me too.
Yeah, do you see any negatives from it, from the retailers, developers, or you,
Well,
anything overly?
in general, I would say no. There's always going to be the developers who don't want to spend the money. But that's with any requirement that you might have. And I think it's pretty clear from the comparison that when you look at other cities that are comparable to ourselves, like Midwest City, they're required to do that. And I don't believe that their retail has suffered. So I don't think that
Okay.
there's necessarily any negative to that.
So would this, the intent of this would be to apply to the commercial groups?
That's correct, yes. We currently don't have any landscaping regulations for residential.
PUD?
Correct.
And you really don't see any significant impact on going from 5% to 10% on the open or green space area?
I don't. I think that by the time you have detention factored into your plan, you're going to hit that amount anyways. And again, I would just go back to saying that the other metropolitan area cities do require this in central Oklahoma. So we would be no different from most of our other peers.
Perfect, thank
Sounds
you.
good. I'd like to, yes, see something.
Okay, thank you.
So do we need this in the form of a motion?
I don't know, Randy, do we need to make it an emotion?
Or just-
Okay,
Okay. Very good.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 7 is community development as well, so I'll go ahead and do it. Consider rezoning application number RZ 1014 located in the northeast quarter of Section 12, Township 10 North, Range 3 West, being north of Northeast 12th Street and west of Bryant Avenue from A1 Rural Agricultural District to A2 PUD Suburban Agricultural District as a planned unit development, and approve ordinance number 980-21, application by Harry Paw Inn of David Box. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this 8-0. This is in Ward 2.
Mayor and council, this site is located north of Northeast 12th Street and west of North Bryant Avenue. The property is zoned A1. It is the location of the currently operating Harry Paw Inn. It's a pet boarding facility. The applicant is proposing to expand their business by constructing a new building to the east of the existing building to house additional indoor dog kennels and to establish an outdoor play area with limited hours. Because the current dog kennel operation is grandfathered in, a rezoning is required prior to the approval of any substantial improvements. The applicant is proposing a PUD to allow for indoor overnight boarding with an outdoor play yard for periodic playtime between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. Public water is available to the site from North Bryant Avenue. Private septic system is utilized and access is provided by North Bryant through existing drives. There is no floodplain located on the site. The subject site is located in a largely agricultural area. To the north of the site is a single-family home owned by the applicant and an undeveloped portion of the Buck Thomas Park. To the south is a single-family home that is also owned by the applicant. To the east, across Bryant, is the Lost Creek addition, and to the west is Buck Thomas Park. The applicant is utilizing a planned unit development to allow for an outdoor play area. By utilizing a PUD, the city may relax certain requirements in exchange for amenities that would not otherwise be required. The revised PUD proposal features the following amenities. The play yard will be located a minimum of 100 foot from Bryant Avenue and will expand behind the lot at 1705 North Bryant. There will be 70% brick or mason requirement on all buildings, and that's was done to reduce the sound reverberation from the buildings. Landscape requirement of 10 trees and 20 shrubs on the developed portion of the property, and limited outdoor playtime between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. This site is designated as an urban residential land use. Because this application is agricultural in nature, an amendment to the plan is not necessary. The applicant is proposing to upgrade a grandfathered-in agriculture business to modernize the buildings and locate an outdoor play yard a minimum of 100 feet from Bryant Avenue. In order to help alleviate noise concerns by nearby residents, the applicant has agreed to utilize the PUD to formalize all mitigation measures being proposed. These mitigation measures are the location of the play yard a minimum of 100 foot west of Bryant Avenue, with the majority of the play yard being almost 200 feet west of Bryant Avenue behind 1705 North Bryant. The 70% brick or mason requirement and limited outdoor play time between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. Because this application seeks to improve the site to offer more protections for the nearby residents, staff recommends approval of this application. The applicant has held a neighborhood meeting because there has been some interest expressed in this application from nearby residents. That neighborhood meeting was held on August the 4th. There was approximately 3 to 4 residents in attendance at that meeting. 2 were in favor, and 1 was gathering more information. The Planning Commission meeting was subsequently held. At this meeting, several citizens spoke in favor of this application. There was no one who spoke against the application. Included in the packet is several letters of support from some people in Lost Creek, as well as people who use the facility and the Chamber of Commerce. And additionally, a sound engineer has reviewed the site, went out on site to listen to the noise, and he had concluded that because of the noise that's generated by Buck Thomas Park and the traffic along North Bryant Avenue, that he did not see any additional adverse effects to the area concerning noise. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. The mayor will address that.
We have a couple people signed up tonight. Tammy Evans.
Do we want to
Representative, can I speak
first?
Oh,
Yeah,
sure, go ahead.
yeah, let's hear from them first, and then let
Okay.
the
Sure,
residents
just
respond.
Cooper Hahn, and briefly on behalf of the applicant, I appreciate that broad overview. I just kind of want to step up and say we are here on behalf of the applicant. Wendy and Chuck Musgrove are also here as the owners of the Harry Paul Inn. If you're not familiar with the Harry Paul Inn, it is currently operating. It is a overnight boarding facility that can currently house approximately about 50 dogs. As she correctly laid out, it is a grandfathered in or legally non-conforming. They're completely legal in their current operation. And like I said, they're already operating with 50 dogs. They've already got an outdoor facility play area. Currently, that play area is approximately 40 feet from Bryant Avenue. And what we're proposing with this PUD, which helps out so much, is we're moving it, as she said, over 100 foot from Bryant Avenue. And that's gonna put us, besides the 2 residences that my clients own, directly north and south of it, you can see that in the site plan, the residents to the east in that Lost Creek area, they're gonna be approximately 200 foot or more away from this play area. Additionally, she went over the 70% stone or brick veneer that is going to help mitigate sounds from the inside of the facility. Not only is that important, but it also is, it's very aesthetically pleasing. I mean, you're gonna have a very good-looking, attractive, large facility that can basically do all the same uses that it currently does in a slightly bigger scale and do it better in a way that mitigates the sound and makes it more compliant and just better suited kind of for the area and better even work with the existing surrounding areas, including those neighbors to the east. As she laid out, it was unanimously approved by Planning Commission. Staff recommended approval. Again, we had the neighborhood meetings. We've certainly worked with staff on this. We did get the sound engineer. We wanted to make sure these people's concerns were completely understood. And it's really our position, and I believe the sound engineer backs this up, that the only thing that we're doing is the exact same use in a better form. And it's in a better form for everyone.
So if they can house 50 dogs now, with the new facility, how many dogs will they be able to house at that point?
They would be able to house approximately 80,
Okay.
potentially more. So it is more, certainly, but they are also going to be substantially further away. They're going to have a substantially nicer facility, a substantially larger facility. So those things are taken into account.
Thank you.
And just with that, I think that pretty much rounds it out for me. So we're asking for your approval. We'd be happy to answer any questions. Again, my clients are here. I do believe some people are here in support, and I just want to thank them personally before I kind of step away from the mic. I think that speaks a lot about the type of business that my clients are already running, that they're so desirable that people are willing to take time out of their evening. So with that, we ask for your support, and again, we'll answer any questions we can.
Hey, so you say 80, but potentially more?
Do we have a hard limit? That's our approximation based off of our kind of proposed build-out. I mean, that's based off of kennel space. It's based off of a current demand that we're seeing. I believe the facilities are being kind of designed and worked in a way based off of a wait list that my clients are currently experiencing. So, I mean, 8,000 square foot is substantial. Right now, they're operating, I believe, about 2,600 square foot, and they're already be able to house 50 dogs. But I mean, that's it. They're limited to that. So they want to go above and beyond for this new facility. I mean, they're jumping nearly 3 times, and you're not seeing us jump. Well, I mean, we're not asking for 150 dogs. I mean, so I hate to set a hard limit on it. I can tell you basically of what we're planning on, 80 to 90 dogs is kind of that's where we see this going.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Tammy Evans?
Hello there, my name's Tammy. I live at 2100 Northeast 18th, directly across the street from the applicants. We own 350 feet of Bryant. We did this back in 2014. This was back on the agenda in 2014. We objected it. The city council voted no. The applicants were allowed, I believe, to spend X amount of dollars, I think not over 10 grand. They spent well over that on the old dog kennels. Property to the north of the original dog kennel was objected and voted no to. And here we are 7 years later doing this again. I've been a citizen of Moore here, born and raised here. I'm 53. We built our house in 2003. I recently sold a business, closed a business. I'm retired now, so I'm home a lot more. It's a total nuisance. Whatever sound engineer they hired, whether it was City of Moore hired them or if they hired them, I'd like for that city of engineer to come stay at my house. You can hear the dogs inside the house 24/7. And I would say there's well over probably 40 of us in the neighborhood that would object to this, but this has been tabled several times. We all have busy lives. We've been out of town. We didn't make it to the neighbor. It's a waste of our time. We object. There's nothing they can do that's gonna make me happy. It's just nothing but a nuisance. The noise is the #1 thing it should be against, a noise ordinance. City of Moore, I don't think, has any type of rules or regulations for dog kennels or code. I don't know. I'm not gonna be that neighbor that calls the police because I value our police to go get the bad guys and fight crime. I'm not gonna be that neighbor that's gonna burden our police to call and make a noise complaint. I would think this would affect zoning. I'm just looking over my notes here. And the value of our property. This does nothing for the value of my property besides hurt it. But this has been nothing but a nuisance to us, a total nuisance. And if we could table it to where I could get you drone video of where my house is and some of the other neighbors' house. I mean, there's neighbors on down 18th that don't even live right off of Bryant that have, I mean, a lady was walking her dog the other day around the neighborhood and said, hey, is there a dog fight going on? I'm like, no, that's just the dog kennel across the street. You constantly hear dogs fighting, barking, crying. And I mean, I have a little bit of video. I have tons of video of it, actually. Good morning. This started at 7:05 a.m. It's now 7:36 a.m. You can't hear it because of
And you're
my
inside
sound
your house
quality.
when that's happening? You're inside?
Outside.
Okay.
This is out on my back patio. But I mean, I have tons of this video of nonstop. If nothing else, I say we. I'm begging for each one of you to vote no. And if you don't vote no, then I ask that you table it so I can get more residents here where it's not a conflict to their schedules. And let me prepare a video of nothing but sound inside my house and outside my house and ask you if you would want to put that type of investment in your personal property that we built in 2003 in Lost Creek, and then to have nothing but a nuisance of constant dogs barking all day. That starts at 7 in the morning and goes all day, all night, constant. So I would just beg each one of you to please vote no. Thank you.
Were you not able to make it to the planning commission
No.
meeting?
No.
Did anybody come? Elizabeth, did you say there was nobody here to speak negatively towards that?
That's.
I showed up and it
No
was,
protest.
the night I showed up at the planning commission, it was moved.
Okay.
So the original planning commission meeting that I showed up to, they had moved it.
Okay.
And this has been tabled, I think, once before.
Not before us,
No?
I don't believe.
So it was the planning commission that was tabled, yeah. I did show up to that. And so I didn't get to speak at the planning commission.
Elizabeth, just for clarification, there's.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's two structures currently. Do either one of those structures currently have the kennels in them, or is, do you know?
Yes, probably the applicant should
Okay,
explain their
perfect.
business.
Great.
Because they would know better.
Yeah, thank you. So, are the kennels currently in one of the two houses?
No.
Okay.
There are two residential structures on the entirety of the property. Both residential structures are being used for residential purposes. One is actually being used by my clients. The other one is rented out, but also owned by my clients. There is still an existing 2,600 square foot structure designated for the housing of dogs.
Where the new structure is
Is that- yeah.
intended to be built?
Yeah, we're-
In parts of it, yes, but that also new structure, or that existing structure isn't built to the standards that we're setting forth in this
Well,
PUD.
correct.
So what we're trying to figure out is will all the dogs be right here in this one?
The green, that's what we're
Yeah,
looking
so-
at.
What we're looking at here is if you're looking at that green structure, that greenhouse structure, that is the proposed new structure.
Okay. Correct.
That
And that's
is
where all the dogs will be.
potentially up to 8,500 square foot, depending on, obviously, we're in the zoning phase. We're gonna be in permit phase hopefully soon. But right now, we're looking at, that would be the structure where all the dogs would house indoor. And again, that comes with a lot of mitigating factors that have been
That aren't part of the
negotiated.
current, that aren't part of the current structure,
That-
correct?
That is correct. With the current structure, we can't upgrade it to what we need. As you said, we're limited on funding. I wasn't a part of that 10 years ago. All I know is my clients have been operating since 1973. They've been operating with a dog kennel. They want to continue doing so. They have the demand to do so. And again, they've negotiated a lot of mitigating things that wouldn't be found in other portions of the code. And so, these PUDs, they help narrow it, but also, the city gets to negotiate some of these good factors for citizens that, whether or not they are here. I don't know about 40 people to object. No one showed up at planning commission. One person showed up here. She had noticed it's an open meeting. Anyone can show up. But these things are negotiated, and these mitigating circumstances have already been factored into this PUD. This has been through like a neighborhood meeting and multiple planning commissions, lots of meetings with staff. There has been, this is the first time I've seen a sound study being conducted for any type of commercial activity other than heavy industrial.
So in this rendering where the new structure, the green structure you pointed out, is that where the current structure is now?
The current structure would be underlying that in some portion, but obviously the current structure is much smaller.
But much
Further
smaller, yeah.
west?
It would be,
Brian,
it would be
further from
on the somewhat west portion of it. But obviously with the dog barking, when they're outside currently, the fence goes all the way up to 40 feet within Bryant. So we're actually moving that outdoor play area from the front of our property, and I say front being, you know, our access off to Bryant. We're moving that 100 foot off. And not only is it moving 100 foot off, we're obviously going to have fencing around that play area. Of course, you have to. They're going to be, you know, solid site-proof fencing, probably 6 to 8 foot, so that's going to help with noise mitigation. But also, the very front part of that play area, which is at minimum 100 foot, is going to be blocked by our building. If you can see from that site plan, it kicks out just a little bit. And I mean, you're talking about a substantial structure that is also in the way, completely site blocked. That helps with the sound mitigation, certainly. And you know, from the interior side, when it's past 9 o'clock or when it's before 7 a.m., those dogs are going to be all inside with people, and it's going to be, you know, in a controlled area that has sound mitigation, like heavy sound mitigation, high ceilings, certain materials that are designed for sound mitigation. And then just jumping back real quickly in terms of the play area, obviously relocating is a big thing, but generally speaking, it's limited directly into the PUD, that it's 15 dogs per person out there that's occupying them. So there is always going to be someone observing every dog that is out there. I mean, 15 dogs is a lot, certainly, I understand, but, you know, these people are trained professionals to deal with dogs. If there is a problem dog or a dog's having a bad day, they can certainly and will be taken back inside. There's not going to be the nuisance barking in terms of just constant, you know, the dogs are going to be running out and playing during, you know, normal hours that, you know, any other neighbor could have their dog out there 24 hours a day. Never say anything about it. Certainly, if there is a nuisance problem, I would say a zoning and city council meeting probably isn't where that needs to be resolved, but we certainly believe affirmatively that this zoning document that is before you today mitigates all those concerns.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Mayor, was anybody else signed up to speak?
No, that's,
Cody Clark.
oh, I'm sorry, Cody Clark. You're right, sorry, it was in the wrong staff.
Elizabeth, while this gentleman's coming up, you may or may not be prepared to answer this. Do you know if we've had any noise complaints reference to the barking dogs in that area?
I am, only the verbal complaints that we've received.
Yeah.
I don't believe we have any police
Hadn't
complaints.
been,
Police complaints.
all right.
Go ahead.
Mayor, Council. My name's Cody Clark. I actually live right in the middle of Lost Creek Edition. A lot of you I'm very familiar with and been in front of this panel many a times. I just want to bring some common sense to this. I've been there, my house was built in 2000. I've lived in Lost Creek Edition since 2004. They talk about a neighborhood meeting. If there was a neighborhood meeting in Lost Creek, I would know because they go through me. I have not heard once of a neighborhood meeting, which Lost Creek is one of the largest neighborhoods. And I can tell you, to sit here and compare a kennel to an individual's dog outside, that's not a comparison. There's a couple of things that I just want to bring up to the council and you as well, Mayor, is we were blessed with a wonderful dog park at 12th Street. And I can personally tell you, we built a wonderful fire department directly across the street from where they're talking about, Station 4. I have firefighter friends that lived in that station house and complained about the dogs. I live in the middle of Lost Creek, and the dogs are barking all night long. I'll be more than welcome. I'm very familiar in safety, as I've been a director of safety for many years, and some sort of development like this, I would think they would present a noise survey to the panel to get an overall average, because it's going to change depending on the size of dog, how many dogs, whatever it may be, it's going to change.
Excuse me.
And I would think they would show some, I saw a lot of questions here tonight about what is actually going to be developed, the design, the height, the dimensions, so on. I think the panel and the public should know what them engineering specs are before anything like this is approved. And, you know, and we get to our codes, the municipal codes, you know, the nuisance code, chapter 8-1, it talks about that. Section 4, 107, number of animals restricted to a kennel. They're talking about 80 dogs. Only thing I've heard them mention is noise. What about the safety and security of the kids playing directly behind this property at 12th Street Park? What about the potential development Moore's going to do to the north of it, building a compost area? There's a lot of factors in place. You know what? I was born on the east side of Moore, and I'm tired of the east side of Moore getting underdeveloped. Everything's on the west side. And we get stuff like this thrown in our backyard. It's time for that to stop and start bringing back the east side of Moore. Noise complaints, I can tell you're there. I don't want to be calling Chief Gibson's officers out to talk about noise complaints of dogs barking in the middle of the night. How are we going to fix that? Are we going to muzzle them? No, they have not even come up and said anything how they're going to fix that. How are you going to fix the dog from stop barking? You can't. So there's a lot of common sense things that need to be brought to the table here before a decision. I don't think this should be an ag exemption, period. It doesn't fall within the city's guidelines of ag exemption. Currently, it doesn't. Like I said, we're willing and prepared to hire Phillips and Murray as an attorneys if this does get approved, and we'll get an injunction. That's how serious we are. And they haven't been doing it for 73 years. I don't want to get into he said, she said. It doesn't do anybody any good. But facts do matter. Planning does matter. Making smart decisions for the future does matter. So I don't like somebody, I'm not going to put words in somebody else's mouth, but I can tell you we have 40+ residents that will join this lawsuit. At minimum, we should table this and ask them to bring copies of noise surveys, engineering specs and drawings, how they're going to mitigate health and safety issues, how they're going to mitigate sound issues. There's a lot of questions to be answered here before we make a decision tonight. And they have yet, in my opinion, have done that. I think they got the cart before the horse here. They're hoping to get the zoning before they move to the next step. That's not how you build here in Moore. That's not how we build houses. That's not how we develop commercial. And it's definitely, and they're stating, you're stating here, ag exemption, would go into your own codes. They're in violation of that already. And we're wanting to add more.
Grandfathered in, so they're not in violation.
How is a dog kennel
Correct?
able to
Elizabeth,
be
they were grandfathered in.
in ag exemption?
They were grandfathered in before my time, but they're in compliance according to our community
Well,
development department.
developing the property further is not grandfathered.
Correct, that's correct.
That's why we're having the meeting.
Right.
So, I have a huge problem, and with it, I totally disagree with it, and we are in a position to hire Phillips Murray to file an injunction on it. I think a lot of things need to be answered. There's a lot of questions left open here.
Thank you.
Proud to be a Moore American, so I also coach and teach at Here More. So my roots are very deep here in Moore. Some of you I know, I've known for a while, and, totally agree with the train situation. I wish we could do something about that. But I can tell you this much, and I'm not exaggerating. The dogs are so loud, it gets every dog in the neighborhood riled up. We can control our dogs simply by bringing them inside, giving them comfort. Are they going to have staff out there 24/7 to take care of 80 dogs? How many staff are they going to have to take care of 80 dogs? What are the health and safety issues? They hadn't even brought that up. I think there's a lot of things that we need to get answered before we move forward on this. And at least that it get tabled to a future date, that we can bring a lot of these questions to the table and we can make an intelligent decision.
Great, thank you.
Elizabeth, in regards to what they've provided as far as their site plan and drawings and all that, have they provided what we would require any business to require, to provide?
Yes, yes, and it was reviewed in detail at the Planning Commission.
Okay.
I would just have a question for the applicant. We had a neighborhood meeting or an informational meeting. Did you notify the council, or especially the Ward 2 people? I can't say that sometimes I miss emails, but I don't remember seeing one.
I mean, emails as well. I believe we worked with the city on setting that meeting and held it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go. My boss, David Box, was.
Okay.
So,
Yes, the applicants arranged the meeting, but we did let the Planning Commission and the city manager know about the meeting, and several planning commissioners were in attendance.
it certainly wasn't at our request initially. It was brought up because
And
we
how
wanted
was the
this issue.
neighborhood notified? Do we know?
Everyone within 300 feet was
Okay.
sent a notice.
Okay. Which is state law.
Correct.
There was also a sign out in front of business that was notifying people of meetings.
I mean,
Is there anybody else, Mayor, that,
There's nobody else signed up.
and again, I
Can we ask people to stand up?
if somebody wants to speak, yeah, the mayor, if it's.
If you'd
it's
like
his
to come
decision.
speak, come on up.
And I would just quickly reiterate why she's coming up, that, a noise study was produced by a doctor. I mean, if there's someone that can speak to noise, it's him. That's why it was produced.
I'm Pam Carroll, and you have my letter of recommendation or in your packet, I believe. I live at 2112 Northeast 15th Street. It's 4 lots from Bryant, and I am a gardener, and my husband is a gardener. We're outside all the time. We also have 3 dogs. We do not hear from my lot any dog barking from their business. I've been there since 2000, when it was a cow pasture. So I don't understand how people, I hear more coyotes than I do dogs, even neighborhood dogs barking. So I want you to consider that too, because I am very close and have no problem, and I do business with them also. But beside that, I'm sorry?
Just address us, please, ma'am.
Yeah.
Just address us.
Okay.
So she lives in Lost
But
Creek.
they were there. I haven't been doing business with them for more than 8 years, I don't believe. And I never had before then any complaint about any noise from that property. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in. So,
Okay, thank you.
any other questions for me?
Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this issue?
Sure. Hi, my name is Lowell Bynum.
If you would, please state your address for the
At
record.
5708 Southeast 83rd Street, just up sooner. But both kids graduated from Moore. We got here in '96. I'd have been here sooner, but I had 24 years overseas in military service. But I'm also an ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce, and I've been using Harry Paws for about 6 years. And it's funny because when I get there in the morning, it's right up against Bryan. And I'll be honest with you, it's pretty quiet when I get there, and I have a 115-pound Doberman. And they have been so good. And I got so excited to hear that they're going to push it back 100 feet, build a building, which would make it even quieter, and wouldn't make it better for customers. But I've dealt with both the owners here for the last 6 years. Very impressed of how they take care of their business and how they do. I did see the sign. I couldn't vote in the election here because I'm actually in Oklahoma City, but a proud member of the Chamber of Commerce. I have 4 businesses, and I love using them, and really excited to see that we're going to bring more business and more income to the city of Moore. So that's what I have to say, and I appreciate your time, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Mayor and council, for me to vote on this, I need a little bit more information. One, I would like to go out there and listen, go over to the neighborhood, go over to Bryant, maybe have an opportunity to look at the facility. And then if we could maybe see if there had been any noise complaints generated because of the facility, or fire chief, I'd be interested to see if any of the fire department or officers have had any issues with noise. So I would like to make a motion that we table this until a future date, once we get this data, and then we're ready to put it back on the agenda.
Okay. Anybody want to second that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to table and a second. Would you call for that vote, please?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes. Was hesitant to table it since the lady said we'd tabled it so many times, but I don't ever remember that we have done that.
No,
so
we have not.
Anyway, I kind of feel the same way Mark does. I'd like some more information on this, so I appreciate it.
So Brooks, I would just ask if we could get a little bit more data, what I just kind of mentioned, and then I'll take it upon myself to go out there and check the place out.
I may go with you.
Okay.
Is there a date that we're being assigned now, or?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want this to
We don't want this
indefinitely.
to linger by any means,
Right,
but we
right,
certainly
right.
want you guys to have your full opportunity to gather whatever data you need. And again, we're happy to help. We've been working with the city, and we wish to continue.
Be on the agenda at the first
just-
meeting in January?
That's, yeah. That's,
Is that
Is that,
enough
that
time?
gives,
Will they give you enough
gives
time?
time over the holidays? Is that,
Do you know when that is? That
it'll
third?
be on the 3rd, yeah, right?
Yeah,
Brooks?
January 3rd.
January 3rd.
Is that enough time?
Works
to
for
get
me.
Employees here?
Yes, that's good for us, yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. All
Thank
right.
you for your consideration.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening.
Yes. Okay.
yes, thanks, sir.
Item number 8 is considered the final plat of Sendera Lakes, Section 4, located in the northwest quarter of Section 34, Township 10 North, Range 3 West, being south of Southwest 34th Street and east of Santa Fe Avenue. Application by Odom Northwest LLC. Planning Commission recommended approval of this item 8-0. This is in Ward 3.
Mayor and council, this final plat consists of 67 residential lots on approximately 19.5 acres. That's a density of about 3.5 units per acre. There is no identified FEMA floodplain in this section of the addition. Detention for the development was provided in previous phases. However, MESHEC is reviewing this against our current drainage criteria to determine areas of compliance. Where possible, this new phase will be in compliance with the new criteria. Access is proposed from Southwest 40th Street, Southwest 41st Terrace, Durango Lakes Drive. These are all streets that were platted with Sendera Lakes Addition Sections 2 and 3. The Envision More 2040 plan calls for this location to be urban residential. Land uses allowed in urban residential allow a mix of single-family detached units, up to 7 units per acre. This application is in compliance with the Envision More 2040. Staff recommends approval of this plat. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 9 is consider the final plat of more to come, Section 1, located in the southwest quarter of Section 10, Township 10 North, Range 3 West, being south of northwest 27th Street and west of Janeway Avenue, application by More to Come LLC. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this item 8-0. This is in Ward 2.
Mayor and council, this site is located north of Northwest 24th Street on the west side of Janeway Avenue. There is an existing commercial building on the southeast corner of this property. The applicant is proposing to develop the property for up to 8 commercial buildings, which includes the existing building with shared access drives and parking. But this final plat consists of 2 lots on 0.75 acres. That results in a density of about 2.5 lots per acre. Public water is available along Janeway and 24th Street to the west of the site, and sewer is available along Northwest 24th Street to the west of the site. Both water and sewer must be extended to serve the site. Stormwater detention is required for the site. It is provided in the southeast corner of the property, and there is no FEMA-designated floodplain located on the site. The property will be accessed from Janeway and 24th Street. Individual buildings will be accessed through private access drives. And the building at the southeast corner of the property will keep the existing parking and access configuration. The envisioned More 2040 plan calls for this location to be employment mixed use. Developments within the employment mixed use land use category are anticipated to be in a campus or office park-like setting, compatible with surrounding uses. The principal uses in this land use category are office and flex uses with supporting retail. With the proposed use of the property being a business park, staff believes that this application is in conformance with the plan and amendment is not required, and staff recommends approval of this application.
Okay. We have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, would you call for the vote, please?
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 10 is consider the final plat of Madison Gardens Addition located in the northeast quarter of Section 12, Township 10 North, Range 3 West, being south of Northeast 27th Street and west of Bryan Avenue, application by MSG Living Trust. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this item 8-0. This is Ward 2.
Mayor and council, this site is located south of Northeast 27th Street and west of North Bryan Avenue. The property was rezoned to R1 in April of 2021. The applicant is proposing to develop a single-family residential subdivision, approximately 16 acres in size. The final plat is the first phase of the development and does include 2.8 acres with 7 residential lots and 1 common area lot. Public water is available along Northeast 27th Street. Sanitary sewer is available to the north and west by an 8-inch gravity line. Stormwater detention for this development is required. The overall development includes a detention pond located on the west side of this property. The applicant intends to make improvements to the detention pond with the second phase of the development. Therefore, a temporary detention pond for the 2.8 acres is required with this phase of construction. There is a FEMA-designated floodplain and floodway located on the east side of this phase 1 of the development. No part of the first phase lies within the FEMA floodplain. A flood study and Corps of Engineers 404 determination must be provided with the second phase of development. Access for the proposed addition is provided by Northeast 27th Street. The addition will be gated with private streets. A temporary turnaround for fire and emergency service access is required. The comprehensive plan shows a greenway trail through the FEMA floodplain located on this property. When fully developed, this trail is intended to give access from Northeast 27th Street to Buck Thomas Park. The applicant is requesting that the Greenway Trail not be extended through his property because it will be a gated subdivision. The final plat does currently show a Greenway Trail as a 10-foot pedestrian easement located between the Signal Ridge addition and the site. Staff recommends that this pedestrian easement be removed, as it is unclear how the easement would be utilized if contained in the backyards of individual lots. Planning Commission discussed this issue at length at the Planning Commission meeting. They did reiterate their desire for a trail connection at this location and recommends that the applicant provide a trail plan with the second phase, potentially using a 30-foot strip of vacant land that lies just to the east of this property between this site and the Sienna Ridge addition. But we would expect to see some sort of preliminary layout of a trail for Planning Commission to further review it at the next phase of development. The Envision More 2040 plan calls for this location to be urban residential. Since this is a single-family home addition, this application is in conformance with the plan. And staff recommends approval of this application. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Since we're requiring a second drainage set, how about we have our engineer take a look at that drainage on all of these developments? I would like to see that on every new development that we have, that we get our own engineer's report. I mean, I don't know how the rest of you guys feel, but, you know, I don't want to be sending water next door on somebody else.
Yes, so Mishak is reviewing the drainage reports, which provides a much more thorough review.
He'll be doing that, okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That was all I had. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, would you call for the vote, please?
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 11 is considered resolution number 6-21, adopting the schedule of fees and charges effective upon approval and remaining in effect until modified, amended, or repealed, and repealing prior inconsistent fees.
Mayor and council, this resolution will update the schedule fees and charges to include the adoption of the roll-off compactor rates for commercial utility customers and clarifying language that council approved on November 15th through resolution 256-21.
Motion to approve.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a second. Any other discussion? If not, would you call for the vote, please?
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes. Item carries. Item number 12 is consider approval of resolution number 11-21, amending the accounting manual by increasing approval and threshold limits approved by the council through ordinance number 991-21 and adding additional language to clarify purchases utilizing federal funds effective upon approval and remaining in effect until modified, amended, or repealed.
Mayor and council, this resolution will amend the accounting manual to incorporate the changes to the purchasing ordinance that was passed by council on October 18th and to add additional language to clarify purchases utilizing federal funds.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? If not, would you call for the vote, please?
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 13 is consider approval of a 2020 consolidated annual performance and evaluation report and adopt resolution number 7-21, submitting said report to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD.
Mayor and Council, this is the annual report that's submitted to HUD at the end of each program year. This report is for the 2020 program year ending in September of 2021. The amount of funds awarded this program year was $340,733. The projects funded were home-delivered meals for seniors, counseling for sexually abused children, youth counseling, forensic interviews for children, and a Christmas assistance program for low-income families, and also a sewer line rehab project along Kelly Creek. The total number of residents that benefited from these funds is 370. A total of $50,938.58 was left over and will be rolled into next year's infrastructure project, which is the Armstrong Addition sewer line replacement. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Motion to approve.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes. Item carries. On item 14, consider resolution number 8-21, adopting a substantial amendment to the 2020 Community Development Block Grant Action Plan and authorize the mayor to submit the amended plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. This is HUD. And we need to do something on this item, didn't we?
Yes. The agenda states that it's for the 2020 action plan, but it's actually for the 2021 action plan.
Okay.
All the backup documentation states that it's for 2021. It was just an error on the agenda. So if you could make a motion
Okay.
to amend it to 2021.
Do we have a motion to amend item 14?
I'll make a motion to amend item 14 to 2021.
I'll second the amendment.
Okay. Would you call for that vote, please?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes. Item carries. Item number 14.
Yeah, all right. I make a motion, we approve item 14.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Would you call for the vote, please?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes?
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 15 is consider approval of administrative services agreement between the City of Moore, Assured Benefits Administrators Incorporated, and United Healthcare, also called UMR or United, changing the provider network for the city's health insurance from Healthcare Highways to United, effective January 1st, 2021.
Mayor and council, Healthcare Highways is the current healthcare provider for the city, and you may remember that back in January of 2021, we expanded that network outside of Oklahoma through a partner service called Private Healthcare Systems. Since then, our consultants, excuse me, Gallagher Consulting, have made a recommendation this fall that we move to an expanded provider network that would give us significantly more access to local providers, along with an increase in national providers for our members. The Health Benefits Committee met on November 5th, 2021, and the voting members voted unanimously to recommend the change in our provider network to United Healthcare. Some of the benefits of this change will include retaining our current contracts that we have with Teladoc, the Surgery Center of Oklahoma, and Health Check Screening. We'll have continued administration of the network by Assured Benefits Administrators, and there will be no increase in cost to the city or to the members. In fact, we should see some savings. And I have Daniel Summers with Gallagher here to provide additional in-depth information if you have any questions, and staff does recommend approval.
Just a question, the effective date should be January 1, 2022, as opposed to what's listed on the agenda?
That is correct. Thank you. Do we need to make that change?
Okay. In order to make that change, we'll have to have another vote. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we change the effective date from January 1st, 2021 to January 1st, 2022.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, would you call for that vote?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes?
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 15, do we have a motion on that?
Make a motion, we approve item 15.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, would you call for the vote, please?
Mark Ham,
Yes?
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 16 is consider resolution number 9-21 concerning bridge inspection responsibility by local government for compliance with national bridge inspection standards.
Mayor and Council, this resolution is for the selection of a consultant firm for bridge safety inspections to determine the health of our bridges. Department of Transportation sent us 6 different firms to pick from. Out of the 6, 3 were interviewed, and we selected one of them to do our inspections. This contract will be for 2 years, and it will start from April 2022 and extend to March 2024. I may answer any questions.
Who are we using today?
We're using Burgess and Nichols.
Okay. So this is not anything new. This is something that we're already doing. We're just doing it.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Make a motion, we approve.
Thank you. Thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? If not, would you call for the vote, please?
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes?
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Item number 17 is receive a presentation on Phase 2 of the I-35 corridor study.
Mayor and Council, thank you so much. I'm just going to turn this directly over to 2 representatives from the Department of Transportation. Jason Boomer's going to do most of the talking. Daniel Wynn is here as support from the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, so I will let them take it from here. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mayor and Council, thank you. The website, where did the mouse go? The website that I'm sharing today is part of our public involvement for the I-35 corridor study that we have going on in Moore and Norman. What we're looking for is to get public feedback on the 3 alternatives that we have narrowed down to. This website can be accessed through the City of Moore's website by clicking on the banner link at the top of the page, or there's a news story about it a little bit further down that has a little bit of context, and then also has a link into this page. But as you can see here, we have kind of this 3D room that you can see, this virtual room here, and it's got a number of stations in it. And let's go ahead and start at station 1 here. So throughout this, you can see there's a spot to sign in there. This icon here represents a download button, so you can download various tools along the way. As you move to other stations, you can look at boards.
Objectives identified for the study at this time are
I'm just gonna
improving
look over
frontage
the top,
road.
if that's okay.
didn't
So
do
you
that.
can you can zoom in on some of the boards. You can see some of the additional information there, and close out of that. To move to different sections, you can use these arrows to view some of the other boards, or you can also maneuver using the map up here in the top right corner. One of the things that I do want to make sure that I share is this interactive map. And this is something that we've noticed for users that are joining on mobile. You have to actually open this in a separate tab, so you'll have to hold the link and open in a separate tab if you're on mobile. But if you're on a computer, it should open automatically. And as we scroll down here, kind of the way this will work is there are some instructions here that you can open, or you can jump straight into the 3 alternatives that we're looking at. And what we have here is the slider bar allows you to turn the alternative on and off, and you can zoom in. So if there's a particular area that you are interested in studying, you can slide to see the current alignment, slide back to see the new alignment. You can do that for each of the 3 alternatives. But of course, what we're most interested in is getting public feedback. And so there are a few ways you can do that. One, there's always this comment button down here at the bottom from any station. You can click on that and you can leave a comment online. The other thing you can do is at this 5th station here, there is a download comment form or leave a comment section there as well. So that again is the most important thing, is to get that comment. If there's any trouble that anyone has with the website, navigating the website, you can always press this help button, contact Kim. She's been very responsive to people that are having trouble with the website.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
This has been going on for 10, 15 years now, this study. What are you trying to do? What are you studying?
This is where I come in.
I mean, there's no room to expand the road.
Sure.
So what is it you're trying to do that's taking so long?
Right now, we're looking at the frontage road options. The 3 options that we're looking at right now.
On the frontage road with my business, so why you want to change that for?
It's a great question. It's a lot about the access, how that frontage road works. Right now, we have 2-way frontage roads that work well in some locations and not so well in other locations. They also require that the access from and to the interstate is what we call button hook ramp. So can cause some wrong way movements, just a little more inefficient.
You know, we could eliminate half the traffic on 19th Street if you'd give me some on-ramps and off-ramps on 34th. And we don't have to do all this major study about it. It's a very simple process.
I think Mr. Mitchell kind of said something like that too. Completely agree with you, sir, that getting some ramps there at 34th Street, and that is one of the, on the alternative, option 1 does include ramps there at 34th Street. Some of the other options do not. Just because that was looking at access, how level of service of the interstate works. The more access you have, the lower the service is. However, that doesn't really take into account what's going on in the businesses. These numbers are engineering numbers, and we have engineers that look at numbers.
But you say you basically want to speed up the interstate, but you're dropping the speed limit from 70 to 65. How does that speed up the interstate?
Well, not so much speed up the interstate, but we want the interstate to function more
flow better.
appropriately. Yeah. So, and sometimes it does take slowing it down and having a consistent speed through the metro area.
Never gotten on there at 8 o'clock in the morning, have you? So it doesn't go but about 3 miles an hour.
Sure. No, completely agree. And that's why, we start with the frontage roads. We're going to look at what kind of capacity is needed on the main line interstate after we figure out how those frontage roads need to work. Try to get those most efficient possible.
I'm just going to tell you that your holdup is not in Moore or in Norman. Your holdup is north of our city limits and going into downtown Oklahoma City. So that's where you should be studying. That's just my opinion about it.
You are completely correct. We are capacity constrained as we get up north of Moore and go to I-30 on I-35 to the Oklahoma River. There are different projects that are looking at how we get additional capacity all the way through there, really all the way through the metro area, and even from on I-35 from the river down to the Texas border.
Right. Well, at our 34th Street, our traffic count's around 65,000 on the northbound side, and when it gets up to Northeast 27th, it's over 125,000. So we have a lot of people getting on, but there again, that's not the bottleneck. It's not in Moore or Norman. That's the bottleneck is up there.
Yeah, and that 35-240 interchange is definitely one of the worst parts that you run into on that. I completely agree, and that project's been lingering on since the 80s, just the same. Yep. So definitely want to make sure to get those things addressed, and I think that there's some very low-hanging fruit that we can get, identify with this study that's going to make a lot of big impacts. But definitely, as Jason pointed out, the comments from you all on how what the preference is, what the impact to your businesses, your homes are, what these different options is definitely important. We do hope to come back with another public meeting in the spring of 2022 to kind of finalize what we're looking at for the frontage roads, and all the input that we're going to get from this is going to go towards that study.
Well, like I said, I didn't mean to beat you up, but it just seems to me like it's taken a hell of a long time to make a decision about nothing.
Well, I do work for the state, so I'm used to getting beat up. Not a problem. All right. And this has been lingering on for a long time, and we recognize that. Mr. Mitchell recognized that, and when we worked with our partners in Norman, they said the same thing. And so as the division manager or project management division, I recognize that this was a priority to try to accelerate, get in front of the public, and get feedback, make sure you guys know that we aren't just sitting on our hands on it. We are making movement on it.
And
Okay.
when's kind of the deadline for the feedback? When would you like that feedback in?
Right now, for this public meeting, we're looking at December 10th as kind of the end time frame for that public comment. We opened this up, I believe, on November 18th, around that time frame. So mid-November.
And like the Friday?
Friday, yes, ma'am, yeah.
Okay.
And Mr. Mitchell did we worked with him to kind of work on actually extending our comment period than what we usually would do. We usually do about 2 weeks, recognizing Thanksgiving kind of fell in that 2-week period. We moved it out a little bit longer. But with any study, we're going to take comments throughout, even after that 10th deadline comes in. If something comes up, we just won't have this really cool room to look at. All the presentation materials will still be on our website, and if someone wants to make a comment, we're going to be happy to take that comment.
And I would just want to echo, since you're here, somebody from ODOT is here, on-off ramps at 34th Street. And so you have, our mayor spoke and is representing 60,000 plus people. It would be great if they'd all go to that and indicate that, so you would have that data. But just know you're hearing from the elected officials, and we represent those people, and that's the thing that I hear the most, is to have on-off ramps at the 34th Street Bridge. So please take that into consideration when y'all are looking at your plan.
Yeah, Mr. Ham, definitely will. And, actually, Ron Brown, who's the district engineer over this area, he's based out of Ada, but we had a chance to meet with Mr. Mitchell, and that was something that was reiterated to us as well. We are going to take in, Ron has a difficult job that the engineers have numbers that they look at, and they look at traffic analyses, and they say something. But the political side, the understanding of how things impact the businesses and people, that has to be something that Ron takes into account when he's helping make these decisions. And the input from the elected officials, from the cities, from the citizens, goes into what Ron is going to ultimately come up to with a decision.
And then just one other comment, ODOT and the RTA, the light rail, do you have any input? Are you working with them? Is that being considered into any of the future traffic flow along the corridor?
I don't know much about the RTA. We have a multimodal division that is headed by Jared Schwennison right now. I know that as far as what we're looking at with the study, we did include a lot of how the different public transportation goes into this, but I'm not positive the full extent of that, sir. I apologize.
Okay, that's all right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, we have a question back there from.
Friday and Saturday goes from my PC. I got on this section 4 and section 5. I clicked on it, it dropped me out. If I clicked on comment, it did nothing.
Did you call?
Thursday and, no.
Okay.
I didn't call anybody, I'm sorry, Friday and Saturday.
That's probably when it was.
Okay, yeah.
Just be aware of that.
There were a few technical difficulties with it. And actually, Deidre actually reached out to our consultant to help with some of the issues. Please, again, if you wouldn't mind going on there, if there is an issue, the number for Kim Johnson, she's amazing. She's with Blanton and Associates, and she'll respond and walk you through anything that's happening, or on her side, fix what's broken. Yeah, I apologize about that.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay. At this time, we'll recess the city council meeting and convene the Moore Public Works Authority meeting. Item 18 is the consent docket. Item A is receive and approve the minutes of the regular Moore Public Works Authority meeting held November 15, 2021. Item B is approve and ratify claims and expenditures for FY 2021-2022 in the amount of $1,046,142.92.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes?
Jason Blair, Glenn Lewis.
Yes. Item carries. Item number 19 is consider approval of excess public officials and employment practices liability policy with Hudson Insurance Company in the amount of $40,130, which is a $800 increase over last year with Glenn Harris and Associates as agents.
Mayor and Council, this is a renewal of our excess public officials and employment practices liability policy. Last year, our premium was $39,330. This is the same level of coverage that we had last year, and the premium has increased $800 to a total of $40,130. We recommend approval, and our agent, Dan Kramer, is here if there's any specific questions anyone has.
So this is with the same carrier that we had last year?
That is correct.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Any questions on this or any discussion? If not, would you call for the vote, please?
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes?
Jason Blair. Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 20 is consider approval of administrative services agreement between Moore Public Works Authority, Assured Benefits Administrators Incorporated, and United Healthcare, also called United, changing the provider network for the city's health insurance from Healthcare Highways to United, effective January 1st, 2021. Now, do we need to change that date too?
Yep.
We
Okay.
do, yes.
Do we have a motion to change the date?
Make a motion, we change the effective date from January 1st, 2021 to January 1st, 2022.
All right, thank you. 20, okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes?
Glenn Lewis.
Yes. Item carries. At this time, item, excuse me, item number 20, almost did that again. Do we have a motion for that?
I will say this is just the companion item for the other one.
Right.
Motion to approve?
Thank you. Thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? If not, would you call for the vote, please?
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. At this time, we will recess the Moore Public Works Authority meeting and convene the Moore Risk Management meeting. Item number 21 is the consent docket. Item A is accept the minutes of the regular Moore Risk Management meeting held November 15th, 2021. Item B is approve and ratify claims and expenditures for FY 2021 and 2022 in the amount of $355,657.91.
Motion to approve?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you both. We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Would you call for the vote, please?
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. At this time, we'll recess the Moore Risk Management meeting and reconvene the city council meeting. Item number 22 is new business. Item A, citizens forum for items not on the agenda. There's no one signed up. Would anyone like to speak? Okay. Any items from the city council or trustees?
I would just say Brooks will probably mention about it, but I'd also like to just say the Moore Christmas Spectacular was a great event. Got to go out there and be a part of it, and everybody liked the all of it. Only thing I heard was maybe more food trucks next time, and there was something different about Santa this year. I'm not sure what it was, but I could probably help with that if we want to fix it. But it was a great time.
You know, I drove by there a while ago, and the lights are really beautiful, and the blue lights have got it decorated really well.
Yeah.
So congrats to whoever did that. Good job. Anybody else? Okay, any items from the city manager or trust manager?
Yes, Mayor and Council, y'all were given your copies of the audit reports tonight. Our auditor, Bob Dillon, will be at the next council meeting on the 20th to go over the reports. Anyway, anything but entertaining reading if you're interested. Congratulations also to the parks for a great weekend with the Christmas tree lighting on Friday night and then the Christmas Spectacular on Saturday. Shop with a Cop is this Saturday at 8 o'clock, starts at the police station, and that's always a fun event. And then also, last thing, would like to introduce our new Assistant Director of our Emergency Management Department, Kevin Smith. So Kevin, welcome aboard. Glad to have you.
Welcome.
That's it.
How many
All right.
were at the Christmas spectacular? Did anybody have an idea, a guesstimate? Not yet? Okay.
Okay, item, do what? Oh. Item 23 is adjournment.
So moved. Second.
All right. Would you call for the vote?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Boo Williams.
The order.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, we're adjourned. Thank you for coming. Man,